me.
Where are you originally from?
I'm originally, I've moved so much. I claim Colorado.
Okay.
Yeah.
You grew up in Colorado, so you went to high school and all that good stuff?
Yes, I went to Columbine High School, and I went to a bunch of other. I've literally moved over 25 times my whole life. So
Wow.
yes.
What's got you moving so much?
Just random reasons. A lot. Just just growing up with my family. They would new jobs or a lot. My brother has a lot of issues, so a couple times we had to move because of stuff that he was going through and stuff like that.
No, you're good. So, do you have family in the military?
No.
So what made you want to join the military?
So the short answer is I was bored with my life. But the long answer is I just wanted to do something that was actually, I had some sort of purpose. And so I was like, I was just a personal trainer. Nothing bad about personal trainers, but I just didn't feel, I always had that feeling in my stomach like I needed to do more, be more. Oh. And so I joined the Marine Corps thinking that that's what I was going to do.
Did you shop around? Like, did you go to the Army or did you know always it was the Marine?
No, I did shop around. They have them all lined up in a perfect little shopping center. So I had my military shopping bag with me. And I went and asked each of them questions and stuff. But the Marine Corps was real straightforward and just like pretty broed out kind of. The recruiter was. He wasn't as professional, I guess. So I was like, okay, this is going to be better for me.
Yeah.
They had the right angle. Is it also because they're kind of like the most badass branch?
Yes. I could tell, I mean, in the Navy and the Air Force and Army, the physical standards are easier to pass to get in. In the Marine Corps, it's a little bit more difficult. So I was like, I'm going to go for the little more difficult.
The harder one.
Yeah.
Where did you get stationed at, or did you get deployed anywhere?
Yeah. I was stationed in Camp Lejeune. I put it as my third choice. If you request California or Hawaii, you're going to get Lejeune. And that's what I did. So I was stationed in Camp Lejeune for all 4 years. And I went on a MEU. I was deployed over on a ship and went to Syria. Wow. We had a little fun stop in Spain and Jordan.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Where in Spain?
So Spain, Rota, Spain. It was amazing.
Oh, wow.
We only had a couple days there. I mean, the military has a way of taking anything that's supposed to be fun and making it absolutely terrible. So, it's just camping, staying out in the field. It's going to be great being outdoors. No, it's not just camping. So, I mean, it was a good time, though.
How was life in the military as being a female? Was it tough? Is there different standards? Because we always see the media saying there's different standards and now they're up to par and now everyone's equal. But how was it really?
Oh, yeah. There is different standards. And that was frustrating for sure. But overall, this question, I get asked a lot.
You can skate around it.
Yeah. It was different being a female in the military. I was one of the first of 3 females to do my job. So us 3 all started doing this job at the exact same time. And they had just opened up combat MOSs to females in January of 2016. So they didn't want us there.
So I Googled, so you have that on your website, on the Happy Beam Project website, and I Googled what that was. What is that artillery? Is that something cannon or?
Yes.
I'm going to butcher it. So what was it?
Yeah, artillery cannoneer. That's exactly right. And we shot the M777 Alpha 2s, which is a howitzer. It's basically just a very, very large gun. Yeah. So,
really?
Yes. And that was cool. I definitely enjoyed the actual job itself. So I definitely don't regret joining the Marine Corps. I'm just very glad I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did shooting practice with that thing look like? Is you setting up barrels somewhere?
So the rounds are very heavy and you get everything set up. Everything is very heavy. I have a lot of nerve damage on my right shoulder.
No. God, damn.
But it's, you just pretty much get everything set up and then shoot off the rounds. And then you have different positions. There's a gunner, there's the section chief, there's the loader, which that is probably the worst position to have, when you're small. And not just even just being a female, like a lot of the guys really couldn't do it, to be honest. And that's always my argument when, especially the biggest argument with the military for females is, oh, well, she's not going to be able to carry that 210-pound man off the blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, all those guys can't do that either, to be honest.
You little shrimp.
They're not going to want to, at least.
So there's like a good, I would say 60 to 70% of guys that are small and weak.
Oh, wow.
So that argument, everybody plays a different role. And that's like anything in life, you know, everybody has strengths and weaknesses. So I think if the military would adapt to that mindset a little bit more with females and realize that we do bring a lot to the table, it might not be the exact same things that the men bring to the table. But if we both bring everything to the table, then boom, you know, it's going to be very successful. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I imagine her with the black stripes on her face and like just a string of 50 cal bullets. And she's like, she's like, and screaming because you have to.
Like Rambo.
Yeah.
I originally thought that's what that was, like the Top Gunner, like on, because my wife was in the Army.
Okay.
So I asked her, I was like, what the hell is that? She's like, I think that's on top of the truck, like it's like a 50 cal.
No.
But yeah. So it's like as long as this table, right?
Oh,
Like,
it's bigger than this table. Yeah. It weighs like 9,800.
Gosh.
Don't test me on my military.
Why would you know the weight?
We have to remember everything, but I have such a terrible memory now. I mean, I kind of dumped it all. Now, once I got out, I'm like, I don't even ever want to think about that gun ever again.
How long were you in the military?
4 years.
4 years.
So just did my short term and get in and get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any close calls?
Oh, no. We did the dog and pony show. We went to Syria. You know, they hyped us up. We're like, we're going to fucking war, man. Like, you know, we all excited. And we get there and it's literally beautiful and peaceful. And I mean, there's a lot of mud. So we just were walking around in mud all day. Yeah.
Just for no reason.
Yes. And then you set everything up thinking, you know, oh yeah, fuck yeah, we're finally going to do something. And then you just sit around. So you're just basically on watch for hours and hours a day. And working out a lot, which was cool.
It's a good life.
Yeah.
Right? You get to travel and work out a little bit.
I loved being deployed. A lot of people didn't because they didn't like being on ship. Because ship life is tough, especially, you know, you hit a wave in all of the toilets that aren't flushed ever.
Oh,
just
shit. Literally.
cover the walls.
Shit.
Yeah, so
Oh, no.
stuff like that with ship life is difficult. And then obviously not talking to your family for long periods of time gets to a lot of people. But in the small spaces gets to a lot of people for sure. But
Yeah.
I loved it. You just sleep and work out. And I liked being deployed because the micromanaging aspect wasn't as heavy.
Yeah.
So I liked that. You could kind of just do your own thing.
Can you kind of hide?
You can hide.
Yeah. Did you get a little like stir crazy on there, like where you kind of went a little crazy because you're not like in the world, you're not around nature anymore, you're just surrounded by ocean. Yeah.
Well, I actually love water, so that's like my go-to scenery that I like to look at. So to me, it was not, but people were losing it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I wrote a book while I was on ship. So
What?
yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Published?
No, it's a
in the works.
never-ending story, you know. But I guess I should say I started a book while I was deployed. So maybe one day I'll publish it when I'm close to dying.
Make a book series where you just keep coming out with.
Yeah, there we go.
Start that if that's
I do
not
live
thing.
a really interesting life. So
Sounds like it. Jeez.
So you were in the military and you grew fond or trying to help people with mental illness.
yes.
What was your experience with that?
So mental illness actually has been a thing in my life for a while with my brother. Okay. So I kind of have, and I always knew that there was something a little off with me as well, but I just never really sought professional help for it. Since then, now I have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, which makes complete sense. I'm like, okay, that totally makes sense on everything that I am. But with my brother, he suffers pretty bad, and then he was homeless.
Oh, wow.
And he's then, because of being homeless, got addicted to drugs, which if you have mental health issues and you do drugs, it's like a bad science project. It just totally messes up your brain even more. So my heart is just there for helping people that suffer with that, because I think if you can try to be that person that catches someone at rock bottom, you can be that person to help them. So, I mean, you can't help everyone, but at least trying to help people is, I think, what we're put on this earth to do. Yeah.
So I guess everyone has some sort of mental health issue, right? It's no one's really what is normal these days, right?
Yeah.
So I get kind of wary of when doctors, especially with young kids too, if, this kid's got ADHD or something, because his kids might just be riled up eating a bunch of fucking sugar or something like that, and not have an active lifestyle. So that the Happy Bean Project, the mission is to help the homeless and provide some type of stability or support for the mental illness, right?
Yeah, so our main mission is to help people that are suffering with mental health issues, and we have a focus on helping the homeless within that aspect. But that doesn't mean it's also a big part of our project is doing stuff like this, like where we just talk openly about it and just have those conversations. Because what you just said, I totally agree with. Food, drinking, drugs, not working out, all those things have a big impact on your mental health. And so just getting people to realize managing mental health requires a lot of work, just like managing your body and how your physical health is. It requires a lot of work. So it's good to just talk about it. And that's what our project is about, is just getting people to feel more open about talking about it, like casual, like, hey, let's talk about this, where it's not as heavy.
Right.
And then we do a lot of outreach to help the homeless, because a lot of homeless people suffer with severe mental health issues. And there is definitely a big difference between normal, everybody has mental health, and the severe mental health issues like bipolar, schizophrenia, ADHD. All those are actual real mental health issues that can make a very big impact and cause homelessness. So that's our focus.
That's so interesting. It's such a topic now, and it's so real. I mean, in every city, even like Jackson now, we have there's homeless people. So it's it's something that needs to be addressed, and nobody really has a solution for it. So it's really cool that you've started something. So you had this idea, and it hit close to home because it's in your family. So how'd you even go about starting it? A lot of people have ideas, but they don't know where to start. How'd you get started?
Yeah, I don't know. I think when people say visions, I always was like confused what they were meaning by, I have these visions. But that is kind of what happened to me. I just I'm a morning person. So I would wake up real early in the morning, like 4:00 in the morning, and I would just have these ideas, visions or whatever. And so I just have these ideas, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to send it. So I started selling coffee I reached out. I was a barista when I was 16. So I reached out to the coffee shop that trained me, and I was like, yo, can I get some coffee from y'all? I want to sell it, and I want to put this bean character on it. And they were like, yeah, this is the price, whatever. So that's where I started, just bought some coffee, and then got Shopify, put it on Shopify's website with our little bean character guy, which Immortal Barbell, he's a real famous cartoon artist. And he does a lot of cartoons to help people with mental health issues, which is cool. And he's does cartoons with weightlifting, which I like as well. And so I was like, dude, your art, I didn't think he was going to get back to me because he has a lot of followers and stuff. Yeah. I'm like, he's not going to get back to me. I'm like, dude, your art is so cool. And I have this idea. I want to make a cool little bean character with a 50 cal, and I want to make one lifting weights, and I want to make one just happy as fuck. And he's like, okay. So I sent him all the ideas, and then he sent them back. And the first time that he sent the artwork, I was like, yes, that's it. And then so I sent it to the coffee place. They sent me the bags with my logos on it, and I just started selling the coffee bags.
That's awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
So you set up shop out of a trailer here in Lake Jackson, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's you're fast forwarding.
Okay, so you started in
fast now.
So where'd you start it at? I guess.
I started while I was in the Marine Corps.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
What?
Yes.
Selling to people in?
Oh, just online.
Oh, online.
Yeah.
And people that you were working with too, or no?
No, I definitely try to keep everything separate. Yeah. From the military, and there's some weird political stuff that goes on with that kind of thing.
Can't sell stuff.
Can't be, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would donate a lot of we started as an LLC. We didn't start as a nonprofit. So I would just donate some of the profits to NAMI, which is a huge nonprofit that helps people with mental health issues. Okay. So we just started doing that, and I had a decent following on my Instagram because Curves and Combat Boots did a feature on me for being an artillery female, and I got a lot of followers. So I used that platform to tell people that I was selling these coffee bags and donating it to NAMI. And it took off. So I was like, you know what? I want to get more hands on. And I noticed a lot of, I was very bored in the Marine Corps. And a lot of the guys were very bored playing video games 24/7, drinking. We would drink so much, oh my gosh. And we were just bored, So me and my friend Garcia just wanted to start serving coffee to people living on the streets because we're like, let's get a little more hands-on with this. So we started serving coffee. More people started getting involved. Other military members started getting involved because it's so boring, you know what I mean? And this is something cool and new to do that is actually benefiting people and not just mindlessly playing video games for hours at a time or getting fucked up at 1 a.m. So yeah, people started getting heavily involved and it just really started taking off.
It's the perfect recipe, right? Because coffee... I feel like you and I always have really good discussions when we're drinking coffee. So you can get into some deep shit whenever you're drinking coffee and stuff. It stimulates the brain, right? So it opens more doors for you to talk about stuff.
Yeah, I actually am trying not to drink as much coffee because I'm already a real hyper. So when I drink it, I'm like, I didn't drink any before I came here because you wouldn't be able to understand what I was saying.
Yeah, we're kind of like that too. Before you showed up, we're spitting out ideas. I think we should do this and this. Yeah. Let's pull up this carpet. I'm sweating right now. But it makes you think a little clearer, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
And the thing with coffee is it really does brighten people's day. That's why I went with coffee in general, because when I was a barista, when I was 16 years old, I loved that the customers would drive through my shop and get stoked to see me. Being a waitress or, working in corporate jobs or, a lot of industries, you're not really going to be treated like that. But as a barista and making coffee for people, you're the best part of their day. And so I loved that something so small as such a cup of coffee could really honestly make someone oh my gosh.
It's definitely a routine too. You get them at the same time. It just becomes part of your day, and humans are creatures of habit. So
yes. It builds community.
It really does. Yeah. We get too much coffee.
I have some for y'all too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Score.
Yeah. Don't let me forget because I will.
Oh, we won't.
We won't let you. Okay. So how are you running this on the boat? Who was putting in the bags and who was putting the labels on?
Okay.
What was the operation?
So Delano's Coffee, they're out of Sumner, Washington. They're very good. Their coffee is so damn good. And they do my white labeling. So I just basically get wholesale coffee from them and they put my logos on it.
Okay.
And then they ship them to me. So I get the coffee shipped all the way from Washington, and then we just make the coffee in the trailer. And the trailer was actually when we became a 501c3. I was using I'm always talking about the happy bean. People are God dang, you're
enough with the happy bean.
Yeah, right. And so I was y'all, the happy bean. We really need something to help with funding because I was going broke. I was literally spending, coffee is very expensive. Cups are very expensive. Straws, napkins, it all adds up. Supplies is insane. And the military, you don't really make very much. So I was holy crap, I'm about to be out there with them. I need to get some sort of other type of funding. So I told everybody what was going on. I'm I really want to keep serving people coffee, but this is really affecting my personal life now. I can't afford it. So someone donated the trailer to us. Yes. Oh, wow. And then someone, Chris Hosey, who he did the wrap, the big bean wrap and all that. So, and that was a donation as well. And that helped us so much because now we have like an actual legit coffee shop because in person at the end of the day is always better than online. So like online coffee sales, some people can make it happen. Like Black Rifle Coffee, they're amazing and they've supported us so much, but they can like do online sales. I don't know how the heck they do it because our online sales is just not there. But our in person is a lot better. So then now we have like legitimate, consistent funding. So now we are always able to do our outreach, which is cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get fun. I was wondering because I'm sure processing all these bags and the shipping and then basically donating what you get. I'm just wondering, you'd have to get donations, right?
Yes. And so now instead of getting donations, because that's also very up and down. Like sometimes we'll get a lot of donations and sometimes it's like crickets. So the coffee trailer provides consistent funding. It ends up being around a 50 cent to $1 donation per coffee that is, profit and that we give back to the outreach that we do. But it helps us get a lot of clothing donations. It helps us get a lot of volunteers because we're constantly meeting new customers. We're like a little, Starbucks or Buc-ee's or, you know what I mean? We're a legitimate coffee shop that we have like frappuccinos.
Oh, really?
All the things, yes. So we get all these people that come through thinking that we're just a coffee shop. And then we tell them like, actually behind scenes, we're doing all this outreach and we need clothing and we need help. And so they bring like all their closets of clothes to us. And so then we're able to bring all the clothes to the homeless. And it's just provided a lot for us with the trailer.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you, when you got out of the military, where did you start this up at?
Okay. So I was in a relationship in the military and then obviously we had a child and she's amazing. And we decided to go back to his hometown, which is Lake Jackson, Texas.
Oh, that's how you got here.
Yes.
In this
yes.
great
Followed
city.
a guy. Yeah. It's always a good idea, right?
They always stay though. I guess it is the city of enchantment.
No, it's the beach.
The women always stay. Is that what you're saying?
We know a few women that have moved here and then they split up and then they stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it isn't great.
There's a lot of opportunity too.
Oh,
because it's growing and there's things that aren't here yet.
It's insane, the opportunity and the community, we literally get 2 storage worth of clothing donations every 2 weeks from people that are in Lake Jackson when Houston is an hour away and they know that we're bringing it to Houston. So they're literally donating clothes for us to bring an hour away. Like that's insane.
That's huge.
Wow.
So
yeah, you have a really good following here. I mean, I like I told you before the podcast, the mayor of Lake Jackson mentioned you. So he was talking very highly of you and what Happy Bean Project is doing. So
yeah, that's
very great.
Making a big impact.
Oh yeah.
So you followed your man here and then
Yes.
set up shop here.
Yes. Yep. And then we're going through our separation, which is fine. We're great co-parents together, and that's been interesting for the Happy Bean because obviously now I guess there's a little bit, the timing is different. Like I have my daughter for 1 week and then I don't have her for 1 week. So it's just restructuring and figuring out all like how to mesh my personal life with the Happy Bean Project, which wasn't there before because it was just like everything, worked well. So, but that's been okay. I mean, everything seems to be trucking along and I'm able to do more things like this now because I'm kind of switching my role I have our funding staff all fully trained.
Wow.
So now they're just running the funding shop. So now I'm able to step out and actually talk about the Happy Bean Project a lot more, which is really cool.
That's great. So where is it located at in Lake Jackson?
So it's across the street from the Dairy Bar, which everyone knows, I guess.
Oh,
I guess that's
wow.
like a real famous place.
We know the Dairy Bar.
Yeah.
You know it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
We don't go, but we know it.
I've never been. It's right
pretty
across
good.
the street.
That's
I need to
pretty
go.
good. Chocolate cherry Dr. Peppers.
Oh
Whoa,
my gosh. Maybe
shoot.
someone does go.
Yeah. I used to before I started eating kind of healthy.
Well, the funny thing on I guess 288, they have signs where restaurants are in this area if you exit.
Yeah.
And like all the major restaurants aren't really on the sign, But Dairy Bar is.
Yes, I noticed that. I'm like,
that
dang, Dairy Bar and Buc-ee's. Like, whatever Buc-ee's is doing, I mean, we're right across the street from the Buc-ee's and they have a coffee shop there. I'm like, I see their line. I'm like, what are y'all like, are you putting something else in these drinks or what?
Probably.
Do they? Do coffee shops do that?
So there is now in Lake Jackson, you can do a drive-through daiquiri bar.
Oh, where's that?
Oh,
it
that's
just
like
opened up.
That's like right there on Dixie Drive, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they have coffee too. I don't know. I haven't tried their coffee, but it's actually kind of good to have a lot of coffee shops in one area. It's similar to bars. Like, it gets, like you can coffee hop and stuff like that. So.
Dang, that'd be damn up.
I don't need that.
For you people who just slam coffees.
I have the worst anxiety ever, but I can't stop drinking coffee.
Yeah.
Mike has to talk me through my anxiety episodes, and I'm like, "You want to get some coffee?" He's like, "You probably shouldn't. Probably shouldn't, but let's go."
Yeah.
Good support system.
Y'all should do coffee flights.
I want to. So
I was joking.
They have it.
They do?
Oh yeah,
you can
definitely.
have little different.
Coffee is like a cult for sure.
You get a lot of coffee donated too from other places, right?
Yes. So Little City in Austin just donated a lot. Like they donated probably $300 worth of coffee, and then Trident Coffee has donated Black
Rifle.
Yes. I don't know. I spaced their name. They donated a lot of coffee, especially in the beginning, because we were like, oh my gosh. And that's when I was like going rogue. So I'm like reaching out to everybody, like, please send me some coffee, because if I buy any more, I'm not going to be able to do this. So yeah, Black Rifle Coffee has supported us a lot, and there's been a lot of places that support us, and none recently. So I mean, obviously, if anybody hears us, we definitely accept coffee donations, because what it does for the people that donate is we do a feature on them, like, thank you for donating your coffee to the Happy Bean Project. So then people kind of, see their coffee and want to try their coffee out. And then obviously, like, the homeless are super excited when they get new brands of coffee too, because they're like, oh, the thing with the homeless is like, they just really want to be treated like a normal human. Yeah. And so the fact that we're bringing them coffee is so small. Now we bring them a lot of clothing, and so that's like actually beneficial to their life. But coffee the argument is like, well, that's not really helping them, but it really is, because it opens up that conversation, and then it makes them feel like a real human. Like, we're not there trying to convert them into a certain religion. We're not there trying to get them to go get clean. We're just there to talk to them and then build that relationship, which makes anybody that has sort of like a mental health issue or addiction, if you don't have a relationship with them and you try to get them out of that, it's not going to work. So coffee allows us to bridge that gap and actually build that relationship with them, so then they trust us, so then we can hopefully actually do something about it.
It's such a tough situation, like especially in cities like Austin. I don't think the city of Houston has a homeless problem as bad as Austin. I think Austin is probably the worst in the state as far as homeless. But it's tough because people can complain about it. And like you just mentioned, people can say, oh, that's not going to help. But no one's really doing anything to help. You're taking steps to physically go out there and make a difference. And sometimes a conversation is all someone needs to, take that first step.
Definitely. I mean, I bring that point up all the time. I mean, I'd way rather help someone that doesn't need to be helped than not help someone that actually needs the help. So it's like, yes, you're going to take that risk and you're going to help people that really probably are not deserving of it. But even if out of 50 people, I help that one person who really was just super down on their luck, or really does have a severe mental health issue or physical disability, and I help them, I'm okay with the fact that I attempted to help 10 other people that was like waste of time. You know what I mean? But
there's always that mantra, and I've been guilty of it in the past too, before I really understood the situation, is, oh, they put themselves in that situation. Oh, it's their fault that they're there. But that's not always the case, right? Sometimes like you said, mental health is such a big issue. That's impacting a lot of areas, not just homelessness, but mental health and violence and other things like that. So it's not always their fault that they're there.
No, definitely not. I mean, when you actually go out, and that's why a lot of volunteers, once they, the first thing I asked was, how was it? Like, well, and they're like, I was wrong, you know? And I'm the same. I used to think the exact same way as most people. I'm like, damn, they're ruining their economy. They're lazy. You know, all the kind of stereotypes that we've put in our head because I don't think as human beings, it's natural for us to look at someone on the street and be okay with that. And so I think we make up things in our head and put our story onto them so that we feel okay with not helping. You know what I mean? It's kind of like justifying like why we're not doing anything. So I think it's human nature to just be like, oh, they're lazy, that's why they're out there, or oh, they're just a druggie, or oh, they chose to be like that. You know, that's our human nature excuse to not do something about it, which is normal. Yeah.
With talking with the homeless, do you normally get a consistent story as to why they're living on the streets?
No, every single story is different, and so that's what people don't realize is that it's very difficult, and that's why the stereotype of homelessness is not correct, because there's elderly, like people that literally lost all their family and they're elderly and they cannot work, and then they also at the same time when you're elderly you do sometimes lose your mental strength as well. So they're just exhausted and they just don't have the energy or the resources to be able to get themselves out of that. And depression is a big one, because even think about people you know that have gotten depressed that have a support system. Look at their room, look at their hygiene. Like they don't even want to take a shower, and they have a family and they have support, so you know nothing happens to them. But if they didn't have that family and support, they don't even have the energy to take a shower, so how are they going to have an energy to get a job? You know what I mean? So I don't think that there is no one solution to the problem. I guess the solution would be is to get the middleman. So the middleman is the person that takes someone from point A to point B. So right now we have all the nonprofits with facilities, shelters, and all that, all the resources there. And then we have the people on the streets, but we don't have the people to go take the people from the streets to the facilities. Mm-hmm. So it's like that middleman. It's like leaving a little kid stranded outside and then just being like, hey, go find 202 Cherry Street. Peace. Right. Like, good luck. And then just leaving. Like, that little kid's not going to go find 202 Cherry Street. You know what I mean? They need someone to take them to 202 Cherry Street, which is not real. I don't know. It could be a real address.
It might be. We're gonna go find it.
It's not mine, so don't try to stalk me.
Everybody's going to Cherry Street.
Where is this street at?
Do you think they're accepting of going somewhere, or do you think they just want to be left alone?
No, yeah, so our next goal as the Happy Bean Project is to get a transport vehicle. Wow. Because right now we just have all the volunteers vehicles, and all our volunteer vehicles are pretty small. So even just transporting the clothing to them has been a task, because we get so much clothing, but then we don't really have the room to bring it all. But yes, sorry, I went on a little rabbit hole, but the answer to your question, yes, we do meet a lot of people that want higher help, but a lot of the shelters are still at half capacity with coronavirus. So that's been like, recently I met a family the mother came to me and she's like, hey, we're really like just not doing good. We had some illnesses happen and we're just not doing well. And I want to go to a shelter and I want to get back on my feet. I drove her to St. Joseph's. I called Magnififold, I think is what it's called. Star of Hope, they're all full. Wow. Or they are closed on the weekends. So it's like, it's frustrating. That's for sure. And so that's our next goal, is to get a transport vehicle. So then if we do meet people, we can bring them safely to somewhere. And then also I want to start getting all of the nonprofits in Harris County, so that when we do meet people like that, it's a little easier, like, oh, I know where to bring you. You know what I mean? So
make those connections. That way you can team up together.
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's intense, man. So do you run into folks that don't want the help? Because there has to be a certain segment of the homeless population that that doesn't want to leave that environment, right? They like the freedom. There's folks that just want to be left alone, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you run into those folks too? And what's the long-term strategy for those folks? Are they really messing with the cities, or, what does that look like?
So I think that everybody becomes comfortable with the situation that you're in. So I think that, and also it's in human nature to have a lot of pride, especially men, and it is mostly men that are out there. A lot of egos and all that. No offense, so it's just like if you're comfortable with your lifestyle, and you have that pride, you're not going to admit like, I want to get out of this lifestyle. So a lot of them say, yes, I want to be here, whatever. But when I really, that's why like the forming relationship part is so important, because when you actually form a relationship with them and you get the real shit out of their mouth, like what they actually think, then you're like, that no one wants to live. I don't think that people really want to live in their own piss and shit.
Right.
No.
Well, that's why it's important what you're doing, right? Because it doesn't just happen one time. You're building relationships over, constant interaction. So maybe 1 week you interact, the next month you're interacting again, and then you kind of break open that shell and get someone to really open up to you.
Yes.
That's why it's important what you're doing, and to get the funding and the volunteers and to get people to donate coffee, because it's not always just one interaction that's going to change lives. No. It's like that, that constant follow up with them.
Yes. And that's why so we did have a 5-year vision of opening up a facility, but it's been difficult. We have a grant writer. So the grants is how a lot of nonprofits are funded, like legitly funded. But we haven't been able to get a grant yet. So now we're pushing that to a 7-year vision. And we want a facility that is a coffee shop free for people that have mental health issues, and they can come in and have therapy, and just, simply just drink a cup of coffee, just relax, and we can start slowly getting to know them and start helping their mental health and teaching them how to manage their mental health. Because managing mental health, like we talked about earlier, is just like it's like being a personal trainer for fitness, is being like a mental health therapist is like a coach for your mental health. And that's what a lot of these people need, is they need to learn how to manage their mental health issues. Yeah. So that's our goal.
I think it's important, like going and talking to these people, because it's sometimes I get down in the dumps, and it's a vicious cycle. You can go days and days and just keep getting, like, I guess, more depressed or whatever. And then sometimes John has to talk shit to me, and then I'm like, okay, back to reality. I don't think a lot of people want to talk to homeless people, and some people are scared that they got to do something, and some people there's a stigma behind it. So even, sometimes it's not one interaction, but sometimes it just takes one. Yeah. Yes. And then it could just turn their whole life around. So that's really good. I think it's so hard to tackle too, because it's complex. You have to go put time into it. It's not something you just throw money at. It's something you have to go spend the time. Yes. And talk. You did bring up a good point too. There are people that just don't want to be contributing to society anymore. They don't believe in it. So they just want to go and
yes, and don't get me wrong, we meet horrible people. Like but I meet horrible rich people.
Oh, absolutely. There's horrible people in every segment of population, right? Yes. There's a horrible barista somewhere, right?
Yeah. Well, not to say that particular person's horrible. It's just maybe you don't agree with how society's working. Who's to say what's the right way to live? Yeah. So you could very well just believe in that instead, but I'm not sure. There's people in like San Francisco. They just can't afford to live there. They have a full-time job and live out of their car or a tent. Yes. But they have a full-time job. You just can't afford. Like you got stuck there. You lost a highly paying job, and then now you have a different job, but you want to stay in San Francisco because you built up your family and friends. Now you live in your car. So. And
I noticed the main thing of people is divorce. A lot of them had or women broke their heart. That's like because I do talk to them, like, what's going on? Like, just be real with me and tell me, like, why are you out there? And they do open up, and a lot is heartbreak. Yeah, it's crazy how much heartbreak can really affect things. So that's one of the biggest important parts about life is love and human connection. So I think that heartbreak definitely gets a lot of people to be out on the streets, which is crazy. Absolutely. You wouldn't think that, but
that is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many stories. Did you hear the story? It was probably like 5 years ago in Clear Lake. There's a guy that always stood on the corner and he would like just yell things. And we used to kind of go by him. We're like, man, I don't know what he's going to do. But older couple took him in and talked to him, like would talk to him every day, and then eventually took him in. And then he got a job, got an apartment, and it was a total turnaround story. And you hear these stories, but I knew this guy. I knew by like living in Clear Lake that he was there every day. But totally turned around his life.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I need to find that article and send it to you.
Please
but
do.
That's close to home. It's only like, 45 minutes away. So, and that's something I thought he was gone. Like he probably has schizophrenia.
Yes.
And he was yelling. I was like, oh man. But he turned around and they showed a picture of him. He was in a suit and like.
There's a lot of resources out there to help people that have severe mental health issues. Again, it's just that bridging the gap to get them there.
Yeah.
And then we have a success story too. And that reminded me of it because we had a guy named Thomas. So he was drunk when we met him. He was an angry drunk. He was a military veteran. And so military veterans, we can actually get them off the street because we're partnered with Warriors Refuge. And so they have a facility.
You can move it up if you want
to.
Move it up
a little bit. There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
You're doing a fantastic job.
So they have a facility that has a lot of beds open. And so that's where it came to the relationship. So I was like, a lot of people didn't want to talk to him because he's an angry drunk and he was just being absurd. But I just went up and talked to him like, what's going on? Like, talk to me, whatever. And he opened up to me. He told me his life story. And I'm like, you served in the military, so we can get you out of here. And he's like, yes, okay. And so we went and packed him up and put on the gloves, got his pee blanket, because that's like, when you're drinking like that, you're just going to like pee wherever you are. And so the Warriors Refuge couldn't get him into the facility on the weekend because they just didn't have the person to check him in. So they actually paid for his hotel and paid for me to go grocery shopping for him for the weekend. I dropped him off, went and got all his groceries, went and checked on him so the Warriors Refuge met me at the hotel to pick him up to bring him to the shelter. And I met him again, and so he was obviously clean. When I met him, totally different person. So thankful that I got him out of there. Now I have to follow up with where he's at now, but when I followed up with her a couple weeks ago, he was doing great. So it's just like,
wow.
I mean, you really just never know. And he had said that he had gone through a severe heartbreak and his ex had left him and he got super depressed and all that. And then he just kind of gave up on life, which no judgment, it's just everybody gets affected by things differently. And I'm just happy that we actually got him off the street, and he's elderly. Like, this man cannot work. Yeah. He has a lot of like physical health issues because of his age. So it's just, if you go through, some sort of divorce and you're elderly and then you have like, you can't really get a job, and just things can, just as quickly as things can go up, things can go, down a lot quicker. Yeah. So, yeah.
Wow. Do you have like a website where you can put like these testimonials, well, not testimonials, but like success stories to where you can see like, real life, how you're affecting the community?
Our Instagram and our Facebook. We do have a website. I need to find, if anybody knows like a good website person, I need to find that because
we've got one.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I do need that. But our Instagram and Facebook is what we're on the most. Those are the platforms that we use the most and where we update everybody. So
that's great. Are you teaming up with any psychologists or psychiatrists on these, public events that you're holding in Houston?
No, and that would be great. Definitely I have put it out there that we need that. In Wilmington, we were partnered with another nonprofit that had like resources for shelters and stuff that did have that sort of availability. But in Houston, I've put it out there that I need some help in those areas. So I'm just going to keep continuing to put it out there. We do have like a couple nurse volunteers that go out there, which is cool. So if there's ever any sort of medical issues, they can kind of address that. We haven't had anything like that happen yet. But yeah, we definitely need more professional help on our team. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because I would consider us a street team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you find that most people need to be medicated? I mean, I know you're not a doctor and you don't have a medical team, or do you find that most of the folks just need to change some lifestyle habits or just need a friend to talk to?
I think it's all about support system and then, lifestyle habits. And then if those two don't work, then I think medication needs to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I personally have had to change a lot of my routine life, I guess, because of my bipolar disorder. And so I've learned firsthand that, definitely your support system and your day-to-day lifestyle choices affect your mental health tremendously, especially when you have more of a severe mental health issue. Okay. So
what helps you the most?
I would say that I have to get sleep. If I don't get sleep, or when I start noticing I get more manic and I get like hyper focused and I'm just like, my brain won't go to sleep, then I make sure that I kind of take like sleeping time tea is the tea I start drinking when I'm like noticing that I'm not able to fall asleep. And I try to do more natural things like that. I do have prescribed medication. So if I'm noticing like, okay, I'm not sleeping at all. The main thing with bipolar is you don't want to go into psychosis, which is like where things get really thrown off. Because then it just causes a lot of issues in your life. So I just make sure that if I start noticing I'm getting way too extreme, then I will start taking my medication. But other than that, I just try to make sure I get really good sleep and keep a really consistent schedule with that.
What is bipolar? Like what is an episode? Do you have episodes or is it okay? So what does that look like for you?
So bipolar is different for everyone. They have like two types of bipolar. There's bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. I think I'm bipolar 1. I forget. I'm not gonna lie, I forget which one. I have to look. But I had one time in my life where I went into psychosis, and basically people thought that I was on drugs. Like I was not me. It was very weird. I ended up quitting my 6-figure paying job, and
oh shit. Yeah,
I really went off the deep end. I was going through a lot of stress in my personal life. My brother had started doing drugs and was having to, I don't know, my parents were having to pay for his like rehab and stuff like that, and he was stealing stuff from their house, and it was just a lot of stress within that. And then my grandma, who I lived with when I was younger, started going into kidney failure, and then my parents were going through a divorce, and then I was going through a really bad relationship situation, and my work was really busy, and then I was just partying a lot, and so just everything combined. And then I obviously am bipolar. I just didn't know. I still didn't even know until recently. I just thought that I was like, just had like a weird time in my life. Like I didn't, because I didn't really know that much about mental health until recently. Yeah. So now looking back, I'm like, holy crap! Like that was a psychosis mental breakdown that I had, and so that did definitely affect my life dramatically. I mean, I quit my 6-figure paying job, and I just moved to California, and I just was doing absolutely absurd stuff, and I don't even remember a lot of it. And people really did think that I was on drugs when I was not.
Do you find that, like, so you said sleeping helps you? Do you find diet and yes. exercise helps you?
Yeah. So, and it's been, I mean, that was in 2012. So yeah, it's been a long time since I've ever had anything close like that happening. And I guess most people with bipolar only really do have one big manic episode with with the one that I have. But there is another one that's a little more extreme, and they can end up having multiple of those, those are the people that really do need to be, I think, medicated and stuff. So
I think with all the stuff you had going on, anybody would have broke like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But the difference is there were some like things that wouldn't happen to normal people. Like, you end up, you do hallucinate a little bit, and you just end up, my brain was just, the chemistry, it's like a science project gone bad. Yeah. So, and I'm just so thankful that I now know that I have it, because I'm very, very, I'm very, very cautious of how intense my life gets, because I notice I can kind of overload myself because of my bipolar disorder. And then I go into like a really depressive state right after that. So I just have to like try to manage those, like make sure that the highs stay more like in the middle, and then make sure the lows stay more in the middle.
Do you think the military had anything to do with that?
So the military for me was good and bad. The structure was really good as far as the waking up and going to sleep at the same time. The amount of drinking, I don't think was good for me. But I overall stayed pretty level-headed. I had a couple times where I was like, just didn't feel like I was good enough. And so, I mean, no matter, I was the first female section chief to pass section chief's course.
What is that?
It's basically you're the head of the gun. Like you're the one directing everything. And so no female had done that yet. And so it was a really proud accomplishment, but obviously I hear the things that people say, oh, it's just because she's a female that they passed her. Like they didn't think that I legitimately passed the course, you know, when I did. And so, but because like I am more in tune to other people's emotions and stuff, I really felt it heavily on me. And so that did affect my mental health a lot during that time. But overall, I feel like I overcame all those like obstacles that I could have like kind of lost it. And I just was like, you know, but a lot of people in the military, I think, have more severe type mental health issues. Absolutely. And then they're very afraid to talk about it. Yeah. Like I was very afraid to talk about it. I didn't really know what was going on with me. And I didn't want to tell them that I was depressed and stuff because I didn't want to get kicked out or like lose my honorable discharge, but that's not true. It's just simply not true. You have to have pretty severe stuff going on for them to kick you out for mental health issues. Like they do actually help you. So I think that's good for military members to know, that, like, not to be afraid to talk about it, because the not talking about it is what's going to make it severe. Yeah. But if you talk about it, then I think I just it's
okay. It's okay.
That's okay. Just don't do it again.
Don't let it happen again.
Everybody gets one, huh?
There's some Clorox. No, it's okay. It's okay.
I don't have COVID. I promise.
I don't think you spoke.
I don't have anything. That's funny. Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I don't want to steal your.
I think mental health awareness is getting big, and nobody knows how to talk about it, or everybody thinks they just should be normal. But what's normal, like you were talking about earlier, and it's just like talking to the homeless. It's like everybody just talk. We're scared to talk about it.
Yeah,
it's a taboo. So it's good. It's good that dialogue is able to open up now.
Definitely.
I think a lot of mental, at least my belief, like I suffer or I deal with debilitating anxiety at times. And I don't know what triggered it or what, but I find that I can control it better with a cleaner diet or more exercise. So like my family's probably sick of me talking about it to them, or I know Mike probably sick of me talking about it at times,
just
but
in general,
I feel like diet and exercise, and you said sleep is important. I think some of that stuff, obviously there's more extreme cases, but I think some like depression and anxiety and maybe, more of around that generalization of stuff can be managed with just simple changes of lifestyle habits.
Yes. And I mean, there's a lot of aspects: sleep, food, relationships, exercise, and then just spirituality, all those things, and community.
Yeah.
Like all those things, that's 6 things to manage. That's a lot, and then when one of those goes down, like say you're used to having a big group of friends, like me, I'm used to having a big group of friends in the military. And then when I was in California, I had a really good group of friends. And now I moved to Texas where, I'm not going to lie, I don't know anybody here yet. I know one girl, and I know a lot of people from the Happy Bean. And then I have one person that has from the Happy Bean become my really good friend. And I tell her, I really think you are an angel, because without you right now, I don't know, I would be very, very lost, because it's so important. Like y'all, what you guys have, think about how important that connection is.
Yeah.
And imagine like losing that.
Yeah.
Or, so, it's just so in depth. Mental health is just so in depth. Like there's just so many pieces to the puzzle, to be honest.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it difficult. Yeah.
Absolutely. So your grand vision of opening up a center that has, you want to provide places where people can apply for jobs, you want to make coffee for people. Is your vision for just one location, or you want to do this across the state or across the country? What is that?
So right now it's just one. I want to start small. I have, obviously, that's part of bipolar disorder, is you kind of can get grandiose ideas. So I really try to make sure I limit that. So yeah, right now I just want to start small and keep it trucking along. So right now the main thing is just getting a transport vehicle.
Okay.
So my real goal is I do want to have a facility, but good things take time, and it will just come with time.
How can people help out? Like, how can they get involved in what you're doing?
If there's anybody who's really good at writing grants, that would be great. If we could get some sort of large funding to get a facility or a transport vehicle, that'd be great. Volunteering, definitely. Like, especially the care package parties. We get so much clothing donations, so we need as much help as possible, and that's in Lake Jackson.
Okay.
So, Lake Jackson, we need help with care package parties. Houston, we need help with getting more Houston volunteers, because we have literally over 100 people in our volunteer group chat. Wow. And like about 3 to 5 show up every single time, but they drive all the way from Lake Jackson.
Wow.
So if we could get just people that already live in Houston, that would be great.
Even Pearland, right? I mean,
yes. Yeah, definitely.
I wonder if you couldn't get the facilities to come pick up the clothes.
Yeah, if we could get like a storage facility, I don't know if that would work, actually. I mean, because that's the issues. I mean, I live in Lake Jackson, and our funding trailers in Lake Jackson, and that's where we get all our clothing. But then we do our outreach in Houston, so we have to transport all the clothing. So I don't know how that would work. What do you mean?
Well, where do you donate them?
We bring them to the street.
You bring
directly. Yeah, and we don't resell them.
That wouldn't work. But I mean, any kind of like talking to, like, I don't know if, what is that company that you donate all your stuff to? What is it?
Goodwill.
I don't know if you could partner up with them and like show what you're doing and see if they can help out too, to where you don't need the thing, like you don't need the physical things. You know, you work with other resources to where you wouldn't need a van. You wouldn't need a person driving a van. You could work with that company maybe to come pick up the clothes, and then y'all can meet out there and
they have them bring it.
Yeah.
Yes, and we do reach out. Like I said, we have a grant writer, so she's reached out to like Dow, and we are definitely making efforts to reach out to other resources to help us. Yeah, it just takes time, and I think unless we have conversations like this where it's a little more explained, it's one of those things. I'm like, oh, she brings them coffee, like, you know what I mean? It can easily be downplayed.
Oh, for sure.
So
even I was like, well, how does this help? But talking through it, it's really cool. And can volunteers go and do the talking? Like, can you just have like go and talk and sit down with people out? Do y'all do that too? Yeah.
So me and my vice president, she is now doing more like the public relations type stuff. So, and I am as well. So it's me and her. We're doing like all this where we actually are talking about our project to people and doing the Rotary clubs and all that type of thing. So we're out there.
The volunteers, is there some type of structure that before you go do these community events that you're telling them like what not to say or what to say or how to actually talk to the homeless people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a volunteer agreement that our president of our nonprofit, Sean, wrote up, and it's amazing. And it goes into any kind of like situation that we might run into. And then we meet at a gas station that's a minute walk from where we serve. And we kind of do like a little powwow, like, okay, just so y'all know, just like make sure it's a lot like, and like, I don't know, like anybody you interact with, you get what you give.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to act like, oh, this person is homeless, I'm scared, you know what I mean? Like they're gonna like feel that energy. So I'm like, just treat them like you would your sister or your brother. Like just treat them like your friend. Like the person that you like the most, treat them like that, and you'll be good.
Grabbing them the ass and hey, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, don't treat them like your wife.
No, treat him like Mike. Yeah, me and Mike are close.
I would recommend doing that. You might get pulled into a den.
Maybe we shouldn't help.
That's funny.
I would need training to talk. I think I would need training because I just don't know.
No, you know how to talk.
I do, but I would think we'd want to go a day or two
and
help out.
Please.
Yeah. I want to get my kids involved. I keep talking about that for the last like 3 years, but my older daughters, they're just consumed with technology and living this hunky-dory life. And
podcasts and other crap.
I always talk about how hard I grew up. I didn't grow up hard, but they're really soft.
Back in my
day, 20 years ago. But I want to
I used to drive to school.
Yeah. No, I walked to school.
Messages. I had to call somebody.
Yeah, on a fucking rotary phone. But I want to get them involved too. Do you have a lot of kids involved or no?
So we tell the parents, yes, they can come as long as their maturity is there. I would say anything under than 16 is like,
kind of sketchy.
Know. Yeah, it really just depends on the kid. You know, there's like some kids that are just not mature enough to handle it. And, but I mean, I think that there is situations that could definitely happen. I mean, you're dealing with people that potentially are on drugs or have severe mental health issues. Nothing has ever happened since I've been out there. I go out there quite a bit. Like I go out there even when we're not doing our events. Like I'll just bring, like sometimes we get a lot of clothing and we won't have enough room. So I'll just bring them just the clothing. Like I don't bring like all the coffee and make it a big production. I just go and bring them clothes. And I've literally never had an issue. And none of our volunteers have. We had one. Okay, we had one. But that was because, I had a photographer. We have photographers. And I always tell the photographers, make sure you treat them like how you would the general public. Ask permission to take their picture. Like a lot of homeless actually really love their pictures being taken.
Do they really?
Yes. Yeah. It's just like us. Like fuck yeah, take my picture.
What's up, bro?
But then like other people are like, no, please do not take my picture or like crop me out of it. Like, everybody is different. And that's the exact same thing with this population is some people love their picture getting taken and some people do not. And so when we have photographers out there, it's actually our vice president now who's our photographer. She's amazing and she has no issues because she knows how to read the room, and she asked them like, hey, are you cool with like us taking a picture with your new shirt? And like, so we can say thank you for the people that gave you that. And they're like, yeah, like totally. Or, or like, no thanks. I don't want to be in any pictures. Like it's so simple. It's just all communication. But our old photographer, I don't know. I wasn't there. I was in Norway at the time, but apparently there was someone that got upset about his picture getting taken. Obviously, we deleted that picture. We will never post that picture. And it was a very hard lesson learned, like that I have to make sure I brief all the photographers now to make sure that they actually have that open communication.
I know a really good photographer.
You do?
Right here.
Oh.
Are you not even going to put Kelly out there?
Well, Kelly, my wife too, but right here.
Well, I mean, you're grabbing his ass.
He's still grabbing my ass right now.
With my foot, my pinky toe. Yeah. You didn't see it.
That's strong.
He likes the pinky toe.
Don't tell her that. Wait till episode 2.
Do you guys want me to like leave for a little bit?
Just a little bit.
If you don't mind.
Now I see why y'all are getting in the lounge.
Jeez. To be separate from this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that because there's some potential there, but there's also that whole thing. You know, that whole thing of like filming yourself give $1 to somebody. It's just so
tacky and all that.
Yeah. But another good thing, I got sucked into these YouTube videos one day, and it's this guy that just goes out in the streets night or day and just asks questions like, how'd you get here? Like, what keeps you here? And there's some very interesting stories if they're open to it.
Yes.
To give people that perspective, and that might change the way they think, because this one guy just doesn't want to work anymore, and he's on heroin, but he said, I know how to get back and I will, but right now I enjoy doing heroin more. Yeah. And he's very collected, functional, and he knows what to do. He says it's actually peaceful sleeping out on the street, and he knows how to talk. I mean, but they have a series of these.
Yeah, if we could do that somehow, I think that would be really cool to show some of the people in Harris County stories. Yeah, I've met a lot of really good people that have some very interesting stories for sure.
Yeah,
but our vice president, she's a really good photographer, but she doesn't feel as confident in the videography.
Videography.
So.
I know.
Anyways, if you think that will work,
yeah, and I'm good. They know me, like they know us. Like they're like, oh, the happy bean. So like,
the music starts.
We have like a bean mascot that does like backflips. So
they all have the secret handshake. Like,
all right. Hey, Tommy, Bobby, Johnny. Oh, that's good.
I would like to go out in the field with you and see you teach us a lot, and this is one of the reasons we do a podcast, is just to learn how to communicate better with everybody, because it's so important to be able to kind of be able to talk to anybody. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's one of the reason I do. He just likes hearing himself talk, so
that's okay.
Yeah,
no judgment. I think I have that issue a little bit.
I don't have a quickie. I don't have a snappy comeback right now, but I will later.
All right.
That's good. So what else? What else is on the table?
Well, we got the future. We got how you help. I guess how do people get a hold of you?
Okay, so Instagram or Facebook is the best.
What are those?
That is, so the Instagram is thehappybean.project.
Don't forget that dot.
Yeah, don't forget it.
Is there another one?
There is the Happy Bean Project, some girl, and I messaged her. I'm a crazy girl.
Take her down.
I messaged her. I'm like, hey, can you please change your username because I'm starting this project? No response.
No response, really?
No. Maybe she just doesn't check her Instagram anymore,
Yeah.
But
we'll shoot her a message too.
Have this down in 20 days or else.
You should report the page.
Oh my gosh. She's like, what the heck? But yeah, so the Instagram is the Happy Bean .project, and then Facebook is the Happy Bean Project.
Okay.
Yeah. And then our website is www.thehappybeanproject.com. So we try to keep it all the same. And then our email is thehappybeanproject@gmail.com.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Awesome. And the coffee shop is on Dixie, right?
Yes, it's actually on Plantation. 111 Plantation Drive, Lake Jackson, Texas 77566.
And you can get we kind of talked about it, but you can get all kinds of coffee there, right?
Yeah, you can get our best drinks are the blended drinks. They're really good.
The blended.
Yeah, it's like Frappuccino at Starbucks.
Yeah.
And we don't call them tall, grande, venti because it doesn't make any sense. So we call them 12 ounce, 16 ounce, and 20 ounce.
Oh, like normal people.
Yes, yeah. Because grande, I'm pretty sure means large.
Oh, don't get started on that Paul Rudd stuff.
I'm like, I don't know. We are not calling it that. So, but we have really good drinks, and honestly, people like us better than Starbucks. So,
what are the hours?
So we're open 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then we're open 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay.
We're consistent coffee drinkers, so we're going to come check you out.
Oh, yeah, and I brought y'all some like pre-grounded coffee. I don't know if you use Keurig or not, but...
Oh, yeah, we use it all.
Okay, it's like you'll have to use a pot.
That's
you have
fine.
to be old school.
That's fine.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think you have an old school pot, too.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I want to get Keurigs, but it's hard.
Keurigs. You got cold brew there?
Yeah, we do. We have everything.
What's the next question?
What's the next question for you? I don't know.
For coffee.
What do y'all drink?
What do you want?
Do you have heavy whipping cream?
Yeah. Oh, well, like, are you talking about like the sweet cream that Starbucks uses?
No, just heavy whipping cream.
Like half and half?
No, heavy.
It's like this keto stuff that he.
It's the same thing as half and half, but it's just called.
Well, we don't have that, but we could get that. We just go. We just go to the store. I can make it.
That's all good.
If we start coming consistent.
Yeah. The keto diet, because I was on the keto, I did the carnivore for.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Holy shit. How long did you do it?
It was like the best I ever felt my whole entire life.
How long did you do it?
2 weeks. I was supposed to do it for a month, but.
Why did you give it up?
Because
she started biting people.
Yeah.
I was turning into an animal. No, but I was like, my joints felt so good. My mental health was definitely the best those 2 weeks, like ever. I had no fogginess, nothing like that. I was like, I think I lost 5 like 5 pounds in 1 week or something like that.
That's awesome.
So you should try it.
So I do it. I've done it 2 years now. There's like World Carnivore Month.
Okay.
I think it's every February or January.
Really?
Yeah.
So you've done it?
Oh, yeah. I feel amazing.
It's the best, right?
Yeah, I feel amazing. There's a woman on Instagram that I reached out to. We're actually trying to schedule a date, by the way, for the podcast. She
new to me.
she cleared. She had a bunch of like diseases like IBS, not diseases, but like issues with her body.
Yes.
And one of them is IBS. She has it listed in her bio. I can't even pronounce them, but she cleared it all with going carnivore.
So, and she stays permanently carnivore?
Yeah. There's a lot of people that
That's
actually do.
That's scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's like,
long-term.
I don't think I could do forever with it because I just love like pizza and like.
Oh God, that's our nemesis.
Gosh.
All right, go ahead and ask.
What's your favorite pizza?
My favorite pizza?
Like where do you want to go
Well, I like
after this?
No, right now, yeah. Seriously, I haven't had any good pizza in Texas yet. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
There's a brick oven there.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
I'd get my bean soup.
Yeah. My pizza. Do a flip.
What's the place we go to?
Center Court.
Center Court in Pearland. Yeah, no.
Bone dry. What are you doing?
Are you babysitting over there?
It's not good enough for you. What?
No, it's good. It's really good.
You got another kid over there? Or what?
I think it's funny how he literally picked up his glass and he was like
a little
went
bit.
to drink.
A little bit of that.
Well, Shannon, we had a great time with you, and I appreciate you coming
This
on.
was
And maybe we'll
awesome.
do it again, and we're definitely gonna come help volunteer.
Okay. Yay. Cool.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Bye.